There are 100 Soulstones that you can find, break, and collect inside of the First Berserker Khazan, and they are very helpful when buffing up your character. I'm going to show you every single one of those 100 locations and how to use the Soulstones. Let's get into it. To use the Soulstones in the very beginning of this long list of 100 Soulstones, you want to progress the game until you come across the Frona, who is going to look like this. Once you interact with her for the very first time, she will also be found inside of the crevice, so you don't have to worry about going to a specific mission to find her. Now, as you interact with her inside of the dialogue, you'll be able to see that you can use the Soulstones, and you'll have two options of what you want to do: increasing your health recovery and increasing the amount of lacrima you get per kill and every time you absorb lacrima. The choice is entirely up to you, and the cost to upgrade these two different options does increase as you spend more of the Soulstones, so something to keep in mind as you go through this list of 100. To start our list, we are going from the very beginning of the game to the very end of the game. In the very first mission, Banished Hero, you'll be able to go inside this small cave, which you should be able to recognize and see your very first Soulstone on a ledge. Simply progress until you see the two guards, and you want to jump over to the right on a small ledge and follow that ledge until you come across a Soulstone where you can hit it and break it. Continue the main path from the previous Soulstone until you come across a Yeti in a larger area covered in snow, and you very quickly want to turn around, go up a small hill where you'll see your next Soulstone. Next, we're going to move on to Storm Pass, which is going to be the second region inside of the Charnak Mountains. Follow the pathing that I'm showing you here. This Soulstone will be very easy to find right next to this tower. This will be found inside of the very beginning of the Trials of the Frozen Mountain main mission. Staying within the same mission, make your way until you come across this save point of the Frozen Lake and follow the path that I'm showing you, which is going to be part of the main path, but you want to deviate into the cave that you see on the left. Defeat the enemies, and in a small crevice inside of this same cave, you're going to find that next Soulstone. The next Soulstone inside of this same mission, still near the Ice Canyon fast travel point, you want to progress the main area until you come across the large guy that you see on this cliff. Once here, you want to take your path to the left where you're going to see some enemies inside a small cave, but also that Soulstone right above the fast travel point. Your next Soulstone can be found inside of the Forgotten Temple main mission inside of the Charnak Mountains. Progress until you come across your very first ice bow skeleton, and progress even further after that until you see the giant temple in front of you and a path to the right or left. Take the smaller path to the left and it will lead you right up to the first Soulstone inside of this location. Progress further in this same mission following the main path until you get into the temple where you see this giant skeleton that is used as a sacrifice. When you're looking at it, you want to take a look to the right where you see a few enemies, but you'll also see glowing red behind these two pots, which is your second Soulstone. Continue through this mission until you come across one of the statue puzzles that is going to lower a bridge, and at the same time that you lower the bridge, you will see a Soulstone that you need to use your javelin to break. In the next main mission, First Act of Revenge, this first Soulstone inside of this main mission, it will take you a little bit of time to actually get to, so follow my pathing as best as possible. I will not make it too fast to follow. This path that I'm starting from is at the very beginning of this mission, so it should be fairly straightforward to follow because it is going through the main path for this mission. Sticking with this same mission, progress through the main path until you come across the dumbwaiter that gets you across the lake until you get to this large door that you have to open. Right next to the door, right next to the scaffolding, you'll find your next Soulstone. From the previous Soulstone, continue until you come across the electric elite enemy where you have to defeat, and right behind that same enemy where you'll also see some boulders rolling down the hill, you'll see that next Soulstone pretty easily. Moving into the Strange Stench main mission, which is going to be inside of the Scaffa Cave, you want to progress until you come across these two waterfalls after you got attacked by your first bat elite enemy. Right in the middle of these two waterfalls is going to be that Soulstone that I'm talking about. Sticking with that same main mission, progress until you get to the Poison Depths fast travel point. From here, it is pretty straightforward to get this next Soulstone. Simply get to the bottom of the hill where you have that fast travel point, and you're going to see a small crevice on the right side. Inside of this small crevice, you're going to see that Soulstone that you can hit and break. Progress until you come across the bottom of the cave save point inside of the same main mission. It is going to be another fairly straightforward soulstone to get from this area. Go back into the giant puddle and giant lake of acid, and this soulstone is going to be hidden inside a small cave on the right. It can be easily missed, so make sure you explore this area very thoroughly. Now that we've covered all the main missions in the Charnak Mountains, let's move on to the side quests. We are inside the Jar Enthusiast side quest, as you see as I'm paused inside of the menu. And since this side quest is very straightforward, simply progress the main progression until you come across one of the invisible skeleton assassins. When you interact with this invisible skeleton assassin, you'll see a soulstone behind it. In the same side quest, progress the main path until you come across the giant wooden door that you remember from the main mission itself, and the soulstone is going to be in the exact same spot behind the same scaffold. Moving into the Night of Tragedy side quest, to find this first soulstone, progress until you get to the Bangao Lot Blade Nexus, or the fast travel point as they're called. You're going to see that frozen skeleton once again on top of the bridge, which will let you know you're in the right spot. Go into the house on the left and you'll see the glowing red soulstone waiting for you to hit it. Now from that same save point of the Bangao Lot, you want to progress until you go underneath the bridge where that skeleton was shooting you from and jump down the ledge. As soon as you jump down the ledge, you are going to see that soulstone sitting on a small scaffold on the right that you have to use your javelin to hit. Moving to the Blacksmith's Heirloom side quest, at the very beginning of the game, I want you to follow my pathing because this soulstone will again be very easy to get, because you can easily run past this soulstone in the corner right next to one of the large scaffolds at the beginning of this side quest. Next, progress this side quest until you come across the Jocko Hill fast travel point, and you have to go past the elite enemy inside of this area until you see wooden stairs on your left side. Once you see these wooden stairs, you want to go to the top of these wooden stairs. You will have an enemy attack you, but you'll be able to see that soulstone as well. Inside of the second region, the Pell Plateau, make your way inside of the very first main mission, which is going to be inside the Polemian Citadel. Progress until you get to the Burning City fast travel point. Follow through the main path until you climb up this very specific ladder. Once you get to the top of this ladder, turn right around and you're going to see a soulstone that you need to hit with your javelin to break it. From that previous soulstone, continue through the main path until you come across this giant door surrounded by flames. Once you are here, you know you're in the right spot, and you want to turn basically 180 until you come across this side alley where you can go inside this larger tower. Once you're in this tower, make your way to the top and you'll very quickly see a soulstone sitting in the corner waiting for you to break it. Your next soulstone, still in this same mission, is going to be near the Fallen Citadel Blade Nexus, the fast travel points. This is going to be a longer path from that particular Blade Nexus, so do your best to follow this. I won't fast forward this too quickly so it's unbearable to follow, but just keep in mind that you want to progress until you get to the dungeon area and look out for a breakable wall. There are several of them, and inside of one of them, towards the end of this prison area, is going to be one that has the soulstone in it. Now from the previous soulstone, continue until you drop down into one of these waterfall areas where you're also going to see a giant elevator. Right next to that giant elevator, you'll see tucked away in a corner where you have to throw a javelin, that final soulstone inside of this main mission. Moving into the Caden Quarry during the Veiled Knives main mission, your very first soulstone will be very early on inside of this main mission. You'll know that you're inside the right spot when you come across the giant spider that shoots out poisonous spiders. Once you defeat it, you can drop down to this small ledge to get that first soulstone. Your next soulstone inside of this mission will be a little further on until you come across the Bandit Citadel Blade Nexus. What you want to do is take the path on the right and follow it to the end, where you will interact with a lot of different enemies, so keep that in mind while you're following this particular path. I recommend that you go up to the second level and get to this ladder that is going to take you onto a further part where it's going to take you into an elite enemy fight with a couple of dogs. Once you fight that elite enemy, you'll know you're in the right spot, and the soulstone is going to be in the back corner of the little arena that you fight that enemy in. Now returning back to that same fast travel point, that same Blade Nexus, instead of going right or straight, you want to go to the left and go through this much smaller building. Inside the bottom of this smaller building, you'll see a couple enemies, but you'll also see the soulstone sitting in a corner. Now for the final soulstone, once again, go back to that same exact Blade Nexus and go forward this time. As soon as you go through the arch, make your way to the left up the giant staircase, and at the very top of the staircase, you want to take a look to the left on the small pillars where you're going to see that final soulstone that you can only get and destroy by using your javelin. Next, we move into El Ravaka. Right from the very beginning of this mission, it is going to be the Devoured Village main mission. You'll be taking a very easy turnaround and go back to where you just were inside of the cutscene. Once you go back to this area that you loaded into with the cutscene, make your way to the very back corner and you'll see the soulstone right next to some rubble. Now the next soulstone in this main mission is very far away from this Blade Nexus, which is the underground water facility. So I'm going to be quiet and let you follow along with this as best as possible. I'll fast forward it to make it a little bit bit more manageable inside the video, but just be on the lookout for spiders. Your next soulstone can be found after you open up the shortcut back to this particular blade nexus, which is the Sinister Prison Blade Nexus. From there, go up the stairs into the room filled with all the different books, and in the very back corner of this room with all these books, you'll see one glowing on a particular bookcase. Open up the bookcase by interacting with that particular book, and it will open up a hidden room that is going to contain that soulstone. Your next soulstone is going to be closest to the underground laboratory entrance blade nexus. This is again going to be a very long path, so I'm going to be quiet and let you follow this as best as possible. Just know that it is going to be a lot of twists and turns, and you are going to have to fight a bunch of different enemies along the way while dodging some laser beams. Moving on to the Linon Mines inside of the Inconceivable Truth main mission. From the very beginning of this area, you want to follow your pathing through the main path until you get inside of this large building. Once you're inside of that large building, make your way to the backside of this building where you'll interact with a larger enemy, defeat the larger enemy, and beside that enemy is going to be that soulstone. The next soulstone in this main mission is going to be closest to the underground shaft blade nexus fast travel point, or at least the easiest location to hit this soulstone. As you can see, as soon as you get out of this fast travel point, you can see the soulstone above and you can use the javelin to break it. Continue again through the main path until you come across the Cave of Gloom Blade Nexus. Once you're here, you want to go through the area where you see a ton of different enemies that are undead until you come across this giant room that's filled with the red stones. Once you get to a certain point, you want to turn around and see the soulstone is blended in well with those giant red stones. Moving on to the side missions in the Pell Lost Plateau, this is inside the Kaleido side quest, which is a very short side quest. As you go through the very beginning of this side quest and pass all the different fire traps, make your way up to where you see the giant spinning wheel, and on top of the giant spinning wheel you are going to see your soulstone that you need to hit with your javelin. In the Human Xylence side quest, make your way from the Cavern Corridor Blade Nexus until you have to climb up this ladder into a large open area. This is going to be part of the main path inside of this side quest, and you'll very quickly see another statue holding the soulstone that you need to hit with your javelin. Staying in the Human Xylence side quest, from that same soulstone you want to continue through the main path once again until you come across one of the taller dragonkin enemies. You want to go to the left where you see a small corridor, and at the end of this corridor in a small corner is going to be that second and final soulstone. Inside of the Final Conquest side quest, you'll very quickly come across at the beginning of this side quest a ladder that leads into this larger open area. Once you get here, you want to go to the right and down the stairs down this large hill. At the end of this hill, you're going to be ambushed, but you're also going to see a soulstone you can break in front of water. This next soulstone is going to be very easy to find. You have to make your way to the Silent Ground Blade Nexus. Once you get here, and even before you interact with this Blade Nexus, you want to look up at the giant doors, and on top of these giant doors is going to be your soulstone. In Pavel's Final Words side quest, at the very beginning of this side quest, all you have to do is continue through the main area and just keep going straight into a small room where some demons are. In the back corner of that same room with the demons is your first soulstone. Continue from the other soulstone until you get to a large corridor that opens up to an even larger area with the giant doors. Inside of this area with these giant doors, it's very hard to miss, is going to be the soulstone up on a ledge you need to hit with your javelin. In the Why Have You Forsaken Us side quest, a very straightforward side quest pathing wise, you want to make your way into the room until you come across an elite enemy with some jars. Inside of the first jar on the ledge when you enter the room is your soulstone. Progress that same side quest until you come across a sector number 4 laboratory wing fast travel point. As soon as you are at this fast travel point, you're right next to the soulstone. Simply enter out onto the bridge, look to the left next to the statue, and in the corner with the statue is going to be that soulstone that you need to hit with the javelin. Progress through the main pathing for this side quest quest even more until you come across this very recognizable laboratory, and you're going to be attacked by two of the misshapen mages that have scorpion tails. Inside of one of the tubes where it breaks out is going to have the Soulstone. Moving to the Escaping Linon Mine side quest. From the very front of this side quest, follow the pathing, the main pathing, very straightforward until you climb up this very long ladder until you come to an overhanging area that is going to start a long set of stairs. Now before you get to those long set of stairs, you want to take a look to the right to the ledge looking over this entire Linon mine. You're going to see a Soulstone hidden in a corner. Now you can get this later on, but it's easier to hit it with a javelin now. Now from that same previous location where you broke the other Soulstone, go back up those stairs until you get to the top of those stairs and look to the right where you're going to see another Soulstone very easily, and you want to hit it with the javelin as well. In the last command side quest, a very short side quest, you'll come into an area where you have to fight two of the larger enemies at this staircase. To the left of this staircase, you'll see a Soulstone that you have to hit with a javelin. Moving into the third region of this game, which is the heart of Pell, we want to make your way into the Witch's Castle main mission, and from the very beginning of this mission, you want to make your way through the gates that you see until you come across this small set of ledges. Simply drop down to the first ledge and into a corner where you're going to find a Soulstone that you can break. Progress through this main mission through the main path until you come across this small corner where you see this particular tree. You're going to be able to break into this house on the right of this tree, and inside is going to be a Soulstone. From the Chaos Infested Land Blade Nexus, you want to backtrack a little bit and go into an alleyway that is going to be on your left as you're backtracking, or to the right before you get to the Blade Nexus. From there, follow this entire area until you see a smaller corridor inside of the larger corridor. From there, make your way to the end and go to the left where you see a couple enemies but also a gated door. Behind that gated door, you are going to see that Soulstone. From the Aldevar Citadel Blade Nexus, go inside of the large room and make your way up the right side of the staircase. What you want to do is basically follow this entire area until you come to the smaller, longer corridor. At the end of that smaller, longer corridor, past the large enemy, is going to be that Soulstone. Now back inside of this main castle, from the area, instead of going to the right side like we did previously for the other Soulstone, you want to go to the left and make your way to the second floor where all the bookcases are. Once you're on the second floor, make your way to the end where you see the largest collection of these bookcases, and on one of these bookshelves is going to be a glowing book that you can interact with to open up a secret room that will then show you that Soulstone. Moving on to the Hermit Mountains main mission, this particular Soulstone is going to take you a while. So I'm going to make it very simple, and you just need to follow the pathing that I'm showing you, because these paths inside of this main mission are very long. But just keep your eye out for this particular Soulstone as you go through this particular section. This next Soulstone is much closer, but you want to go from the Hermit Cave Blade Nexus to the right, the very first right path where you see all these different plague trees. Simply follow this to the end until you come across a short set of stairs, and it's going to be sitting on a small ledge that you need to use a javelin to shoot down. Now from the Abyssal Bridge Blade Nexus, you want to go through the portal that will be in front of you all the way to the end of this bridge until you get to the area where you see the boss arena, and take the path to your left. Go to the end of this smaller path and you're going to see that the Soulstone is just outside of the map, where you have to use a javelin again to shoot it. Now the final Soulstone inside of the Hermit Mountains main quest is going to be at the very straightforward pathing. Thankfully, this is going to be very easy to find as well. All you have to do is follow the pathing I'm showing you, which is straightforward, until you come across a small hill to go to the right, and behind a bunch of different spiders inside of some spider webs will be that final Soulstone. Moving on to Visar Gate inside of the Corruptor's Fortress main mission, progress through this area until you get past the giant room filled with the swinging boulders. Once you do, follow the main path until you come to a very long corridor. Inside of this long corridor, you'll have to fight a spell blade, but you'll also see a wall that can be broken, and inside of this area you are going to find that Soulstone. The next Soulstone will be much further along in the main path of this main mission, but you'll be very quickly able to understand where you are when you are getting attacked by trebuchets. The path will take take you up to these trebuchets, and you'll see a ladder that brings you down into a small room, and inside of this small room you'll see a glow that will signify that there is a soulstone hidden behind these boxes. After you've done the soulstone near the trebuchets, continue until you deal with a very annoying elite enemy, and after you defeat that elite enemy, progress until you see all these different individuals sitting around a small area, and until you can go up the stairs once again, go into the ramparts. At the edge of these ramparts you are going to see another soulstone. This next soulstone can be found as you progress through the main pathing of this main mission after you open the massive gate. Once you do that, cross the bridge until you come across the second archway, where you'll see something on the left that you can go up into a small room that will bring you up to another set of trebuchets. You'll want to defeat the enemies near these trebuchets, and on the other side of that trebuchet is going to be a room that you can enter, and inside is going to be another soulstone. This final soulstone is going to be near the Vampire Gate Blade Nexus fast travel point. Once you get here, you are right next to the elevator that brings you up to the boss fight. Now, before you get to that elevator, you want to go to the right, where you're going to see a bunch of pillars, but you'll also see a wall that is an illusion. Hit that illusion wall, and inside of the small room you will see a soulstone. Moving on to the Rebellion Theater area inside of the Strange Melody main mission, you want to progress until you deal with the first illusion that is going to open up this particular staircase. Once you get up this staircase, you want to move into the next room, where you're going to see on the left a door that you can open. The floor inside this small room is fake, and when you drop down, you'll be right in front of the soulstone. From the previous soulstone, continue through this main mission until you deal with the second illusion. Once you do, continue through the path even more, and you'll come across this small gated area that looks like a bridge. You'll know you're in the right area when you are at this point. Before you go up the giant staircase in this particular location, you want to break a false wall that will have a portrait that will teleport you to a bard, a piano, and a soulstone. Your next soulstone is going to be near the path to the Museum Blade Nexus. Once you get to this large set of staircases, you want to make your way to the right side of this staircase, where you'll be dealing with some enraged looking goblins, but you'll also see a fireplace that has a soulstone on top of it. Use your javelin. From the previous soulstone, continue through the main path until you come across the chest that is going to have a key that progresses the main path. Once you're in front of this chest, look to the right to break a false wall, where you'll find a soulstone on the other side. Moving into the Heart of Pell Lost side quest, go into the Lacrima side quest until you drop down to the area where you see a bunch of abominations. You'll see a ladder on the right side that you want to go up that will have you facing two other abominations. What you're going to notice though is there is a small alcove that you couldn't get to before jumping down to this area that is going to have a soulstone that you can now hit. Inside of Eluce's Axe side quest, you want to progress until you shut off the power for the first time in the first area. Once you do that, you want to backtrack a little bit into this very particular room. Once you're inside this room, you'll be able to look in a small corner above that is going to have the soulstone that you need to hit with your javelin. Now continue through this side quest even more until you fight the elite enemy that bursts from this giant tube. Once you do, take a left and another immediate left to the end of this hallway, where behind another unbreakable tube will be your soulstone. Inside the Unrequited Love side quest from the very first Blade Nexus, the vine-covered entrance, you want to go to the right side, where you're going to see a set of stairs and one of the flying elite enemies, and you want to go to the very end of this location where you see a red glow, which is also going to be a soulstone. Now progress through the main side quest pathing until you come across the room where there actually is an elite flying enemy in here that is very difficult and enraged, but in this same room you'll see that there is a soulstone on the ledge to your left. Now the final soulstone inside of this side quest will be right next to the Ivy Garden Blade Nexus fast travel point. Once you get to this area, or even before you interact with this Blade Nexus, you'll see next to where the elevator was during the main mission of this area is going to be that soulstone. In Atlante, the precise side quest, there is only one soulstone. It can be found very early on inside of this quest. Where you see me now is the very beginning of this quest, and just follow the pathing that I'm showing you until you get attacked by one of the larger enemies that bursts through a false wall. Once you go through that false wall, after defeating this enemy, on your left side you should see another soulstone that you can break. Now inside of the Crimson Trace side quest, inside of the Blade Nexus Bloodstained Fountain fast travel point, the very first fast travel point by the way in this location, go to the right side where you're going to be very easily able to find this soulstone. Now this next soulstone is going to take you a little while because you have to defeat two elite enemies to even get to the section of this long bridge that allows you to use your javelin to hit the soulstone that is just outside the map on the left left side, though this is a very easy soulstone to hit, it just takes you a while to get to this point. Moving into the last Sentinel side quest, follow through the main path until you see the entrance into this cathedral, but very quickly before you get into the main entrance, you want to go to the right where you're going to see a soulstone sitting on top of a tall pillar. For the second soulstone in the side quest, backtrack a little and go inside of that main entrance into this church. Once inside, deal with the enemies and make your way to the opposite side of the room from where you entered, and on this other end you're going to see the soulstone. In the Transcendental Sword side mission, you want to make your way from the very first Blade Nexus fast travel point down inside of the corridors until you find a false wall that you can break. It'll be very easy to see this false wall. Once you break this false wall, a couple enemies will be born and rise up from the dead, but you'll also see at the end of this small corridor that soulstone that you can either hit with the javelin or just break with any of your weapons. Continue through this side quest until you get to one of the very last Blade Nexus fast travel points, which is going to be the Veiled Path Blade Nexus fast travel point. It'll be very obvious to tell where you are when you face off the giant guy and open up a giant gate. You'll want to go back across that same giant bridge where you fought the giant monster, and inside of one of the open cages you'll see a soulstone that you have to hit with your javelin. The first soulstone inside of the Centurial Order side quest is right at the beginning when you get to this giant bridge. Look to the right where the giant window is and you'll see a soulstone to hit with your javelin. Inside of the Remnants of Chaos side quest, at the very beginning, this is going to be your very first fast travel point. You want to make your way over to the left side where you're going to see a small broken down set of stairs, and behind those stairs is your only soulstone. We're now in the fourth and final region of this game, the Vitalon capital. I'm probably butchering that name, but inside of the Fall of the Empire main mission, the very first soulstone you'll be able to find is very easy, next to your first fast travel point. Your next soulstone is further down the main path in this main mission until you come across this giant area with a lot of these different chaos stones. You'll want to go to the right where a bunch of rubble is blocking your path, and right in front of a small door is that second soulstone. From the Main Street Blade Nexus fast travel point, progress until you have to jump down into the sewage area where you see this waterfall. Underneath this waterfall is that next soulstone. This next soulstone is inside of the church near this Church Blade Nexus fast travel point. Once you get here, you would likely be saving first, but as soon as you get here, you'll see this giant statue, and on the other side of this giant statue is going to be that soulstone that you can hit very easily. For the final soulstone in this main mission, continue through the main path until you open up the shortcut back into the church. Once you do that, you want to continue through the main path still until you come across a side area where you can either go left to continue through the main path or a shorter route on the right that takes you up a few flights of stairs. On these stairs is going to be that soulstone. Inside of the temple location, inside of the Bloodied Sanctuary main mission, your very first soulstone right in front of the very first nexus point is going to be completely on the other side of this courtyard through a small room where you'll see a bunch of rubble and enemy, but you'll also find a soulstone sitting in the corner. Your next soulstone is going to be right next to this Blade Nexus fast travel point, the path to the Citadel. You will have to backtrack a little bit because when you get to this point, you'll have come up an elevator. Once you get to the top of this elevator, you want to go to this side where you can break down a bunch of boxes. After you break down the boxes, you can easily see the soulstone. From the main entrance of the Blade Temple Blade Nexus fast travel point, you want to make your way inside of the building and take the hallway on the right. Once you do that, instantly turn right, break down the false wall, you'll find a hidden room, and inside is going to be that soulstone. Progress through the main mission through the main path until you open up the shortcut back to the front of this temple. Once you do, you want to go back towards the area where you saw an elevator, but go past the elevator and down the ladder. Once you are on top of the rooftops, make your way to the complete other side of the rooftops and drop down once again. Go around a small corner, and on a very tiny ledge you will find the soulstone. The next soulstone is going to be inside of this giant temple itself. Progress through the main pathing of this mission until you climb up into the rafters. As soon as you do, look across from where you climb up, and you're going to need to use your javelin to hit that final soulstone on the other side of the temple. In the final mission of the game, Master of Chaos, from the Cathedral entrance Blade Nexus fast travel point, continue the game until you open up this hidden staircase. Once you do, you'll get a path to the right or left. Take the left path. That will take you into a small corridor that will have the soulstone at the end of it. For the next stone, continue through the main path until you come across this very tiny stairwell where you will see a button that turns the stairwell itself. Stay at the bottom of this stairwell, and when it reaches the other side of the turning, you're going to see a small room that you can go into. Inside the end of this small room, you're going to see a soulstone that you can break. From the Corrupted Lounge Blade Nexus point, follow the main path until you come across the second level of this entire giant library, and on top of one of the pillars in the middle of this library is going to be that soulstone that you need to hit with your javelin. Now for the very final Soulstone, you want to continue through the main path until you go down into a small basement filled with a bunch of plague enemies. Once you come out of this area that is the basement with the plague enemies, you'll want to turn to the left, where it is going to give you a very small corridor that has a false wall, and again you'll be able to break a Soulstone on the other end of that false wall. With the main missions done in the capital, let's move on to the side quest. The first one is the Disobedience side quest. Make your way through this until you come across the Crumbled Resonance Blade Nexus fast travel point. Right next to this, you're going to see a Soulstone on the ledge to hit with your javelin. In the Birth of Evil side quest, you want to make your way through this entire side quest first little section until you go down a few flights of stairs and pass a couple of those chaos rocks. Once you get past those chaos rocks and down a few flights of stairs, you're going to see a large door that has a couple different bits of debris in front of it. Go to the left of those pieces of debris and up a small flight of stairs, you're going to find your first Soulstone. The final Soulstone inside of this side quest is going to be inside the Noble's Manor, right next to that same Blade Nexus point. Make your way up the flight of stairs, and inside of this area you'll be ambushed a lot, but on the other side of the room in front of the windows will be that Soulstone. Inside of the Vow side quest, you want to progress the main path until you defeat your very first elite enemy. Inside of the small arena, as soon as you exit, you want to look to the right inside of the corridor with a false wall where you'll be able to get a Soulstone. Now progress the same side quest until the very end of the side quest, where you come to this giant open area with a lot of statues. Behind the third statue on the right is going to be that final Soulstone. And that is the complete list for all 100 Soulstones that you can break and use to upgrade your character inside the First Berserker Khazan. I hope you guys found this walkthrough guide helpful. If you did, make sure to hit the like, subscribe buttons down below so I know that you did find this very long walkthrough guide helpful. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.